Everyone, welcome back to my F1 diaries. Let's jump right into it. The Spanish Grand Prix. This is the last year it will be held in Barcelona. From next year on, it will be in Madrid. I still don't know if it's gonna be like an Italy situation with two Grand Prix and we'll have like a Barcelona Grand Prix and a Spanish Grand Prix in Madrid, like in Italy where we have the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix and the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. But anyway, from next year on, we'll be racing in Madrid. And I don't know what I think about it. Like a lot of fans have problems with the amount of street tracks we have on the calendar. And please let me know what you think about it in the comments because I truly don't really have a preference at this point. I feel like any track could be good, like if you just design it well, no matter if it's a street track or a purpose-built one. So please inform me with your opinions in the comments about adding another street track to the calendar and perhaps removing a purpose-built track in Barcelona. But this year, the FIA introduced a new technical directive regarding flexi wings, which means all the teams go through stricter tests on their front wings regarding how much they flex under a certain weight. And this was introduced, I think, because last year, mainly in Baku, teams were accusing teams like McLaren and Ferrari to cheating with flexi wings, specifically flexi rear wings, like what they call the mini DRS. So this new technical directive is about front wings, but it's still, I think, related to that. And McLaren, who were supposedly using it the most, were supposed to be the ones really affected by this regulation, but actually it didn't really change much, and if anything it just opened the gap more for McLaren to the front. So sucks to be a hater, I guess. But honestly, this is like an ick that I have with the sport. Not an ick, like just I have a problem with it. When any team has an innovation, F1 just bans it. Like, isn't that the point of the sport? To have innovations and to find loopholes in the rules and understanding the rules completely so you're able to exploit them. Like it happened with this flexi wings, and like the most memorable I have is the DAS system that Mercedes had a few years ago. Like I truly don't understand why they just ban teams from like actually innovating. Like they found something that works within the rules that makes their car better and faster than anyone else. So like why ban it? Obviously I'm not the FIA president or anything, but you know, I don't like that. Anyways, moving on, we have special Alpine suits for their 70-year anniversary in the sport. Congrats. Another set of white suits. So, I mean, sure, it looks fine. And then we have a special livery for Sauber, which it's not like, again, it looks exactly the same like the regular one. Honestly, it just like has cubism on it. So yeah, you do you, Sauber. That's great use of your money. And in practice, not much. There was some talks about what tires the teams use and how that will dictate their strategy on Sunday, but nothing, I don't think, really came out of it. Or maybe it did. We'll get to tire strategies on Sunday. But in qualifying, Oscar got pole by the largest margin this season, over 2/10, which in real life is like nothing, but in racing it's a lot, and especially in this year of racing where everything is so close. So really props to Oscar. It was a brilliant lap. I also think the track itself was getting a lot better in those last minutes of qualifying because of the temperature change. So that's why he was able to improve that much from his previous time in quali. But he was like the only one who could, because Lando was 2/10 behind. So great job from Oscar. Lando, I think, really overdrove the car in his second attempt in Q3. You can see it like from his turn one, which is a shame. I mean, that's what he's been struggling with the whole season, just getting every little bit out of the car in that last attempt in Q3, because in the first run he was ahead of Oscar, so there's still need for improvement there for Lando, but honestly not a horrible place to start the Grand Prix from. Max and George got P3 and P4 with identical times, which actually happened more than once this weekend. We had them in qualifying and we had Lando and Max in one of the practices, and also I think it was Lance and Alex also in one of the practices. So that was kind of cool to see. And then we have Hamilton in P5, Kimi in P6, Charles in P7, who just had one run in the first part of Q3 because he just had no tires left, which meant that he saved a new medium for the race, unlike the top 6. So he kind of sacrificed his qualifying in order to help him in the race. But the fact that he did his one and only lap in the early parts of Q3 is kind of weird, because most of the times when drivers get to Q3 and only have one set of softs, they put their lap on when everyone is doing their second runs in Q3, because then the track is at its best condition. And this time specifically, it improved massively because of the temperature change as well. So maybe if he would have made his lap later in the session, he would be higher up the order, but we'll never know. And then P8, we had Pierre Gasly, P9, Isaac Hadjar, and Fernando Alonso in P10, putting himself in a pretty good place to get his first points this season. So that was good news for him, but for his teammate Lance, who was out in Q2, he was, I think, P13 or something like that. He had to withdraw from the race because he had wrist injuries, or like wrist pain from previous injuries and procedures that he went through before the 2023 season. So he did not start this race. And I honestly feel really bad for him, obviously because he's hurt, but also the fact that people are celebrating this, that's a bit weird and like appalling. Like, basic empathy, guys. That's you can not like him and think that he doesn't deserve to be in the sport, but being happy about the fact that he's injured is very weird. And yeah, we have no idea what that means for his future as a driver, or like just his health in general, because like it seemed that those injuries were nothing really, that he just came back to the 2023 season. I think he scored points in Bahrain like in 2023, no? So he just came back from that, easy, raced, no problems. But those were some serious injuries, and like that can have permanent damage for wherever the injury was for the rest of their lives. So yeah, that's not something to mess with or joke about. I truly hope he gets better and gets back to racing, and if not, like that's not something to celebrate at all, that he was forced to retire because of an injury. So I hope he has a good recovery and gets to race in Canada and onwards. But if he isn't going to race in Canada, we will have Felipe Dragovic stepping in instead. And yeah, I just hope he gets better. Now, the race itself, the start, of course, Oscar gets a clean start, stays in the lead, just goes on for the rest of the race, basically. And Lando gets done by Max, which might have cost him the win. I honestly don't even know if he could have catched Oscar, just because free air is so important. And because they're in the same car, there isn't like a massive pace difference between them to allow Lando to be faster than an Oscar in Oscar's dirty air. So either way, I don't know if Lando could have won it. I mean, he could have got Oscar in that turn one, but that obviously didn't happen. But I think that was like probably his only chance of winning it. And if not, then do something with the strategy, which also isn't really an option with McLaren because they prioritize whoever's first on track, which was Oscar today. So we couldn't really undercut or whatever. And yeah, I honestly don't know what needs to happen in order for us to get a real battle on track between Lando and Oscar, which we're all dying to see already. Like, I'm talking Max and Charles, Bahrain 2022. Nico and Lewis, also Bahrain 2016, I think. Like, battles like that lasts multiple corners, maybe multiple laps. Like, I don't know if that's even possible in this generation of cars where the dirty air is that bad. But like, just a little battle, just a tiny little bit. I think Lando's overtake in Imola, like on Oscar, was the only time we've seen them battle on track this year. Like have them like being together on track this year. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. Obviously, I want Lando to be in front, but also I just want to see them battle. Like, not to cause any accident or anything like that. Like, there was a lot of fear in me that they were gonna recreate Nico and Lewis in 2016. Was it 2016? Yeah, probably. In Spain. And the fact that Nico was commentating on this race did not help at all. So yeah, I obviously don't want them to collide, which is something a lot of people say is inevitable, including like Zach Brown. But I really just want to see them battle. Because like, I know they wouldn't push each other off the track on purpose or like do anything unsportsmanlike to get ahead. So like, I trust them that they won't collide in every single time they will battle. Like, maybe probably maybe would happen once, because that's maybe it is inevitable, like many on-track rivalries we've seen over the years. But again, I just want to see them battle. So yeah, we got robbed of that. Lando did eventually overtake Max to be P2 again, but he was not free of pressure from Max throughout the entire race with undercuts, because Max was maybe not the only person, but one of the only drivers who went on a 3-stopper instead of a 2-stopper. And that put McLaren, and specifically Lando, under a lot of pressure. And maybe not on-track pressure as much as strategy pressure and having good pit stops, which McLaren are really not on it this year. Like, we did have a successful double stack, which was surprisingly impressive. But I think every single weekend we have a 3-second pit stop at least once, sometimes even longer. And I'm just wondering what happened to that world record breaking pit crew that did that 1.8 seconds. What happened to them? Where did they go? I need them back. Like, I know it's the same people, probably. I assume it's the same people because, it's the people in the garage. I don't know how to say it. But like, I don't know, just practice more. I don't know, do something. It hurts to see them. Like, I dread McLaren going into the pits right now because I see them coming in and they're stationary for what looks like and feels like forever. And I don't like seeing that little number on the side saying 4.2. I want 2.2, 2.1 even, 2.0, like Ferrari can do every single weekend. That's the only thing they're good at. So yeah, I'm thankful, very thankful that we have this great car. But please have good pit stops as well. Whew, yeah, I got that off my chest. Anyways, the rest of the field, we had Lewis really struggling this weekend. I honestly don't know what's going on with him. He's really not get along with the car or with his engineer. Not that this weekend we had anything major with his engineer. I don't think so. But clearly something's not clicking there. They even swap position with Charles at one point, because Charles, he's on a different strategy because, as of what I said, he had 2 new mediums and 1 new soft for the race, as opposed to Lewis, who had, I think, just 1 new medium and just used softs, or maybe 1 new soft and all the others were used. Either way, Charles had better tire options for the race than I think all of the grid, or no, sorry, the top 10 at least, and he had more pace, so they let him through. Then after like the first few laps, the race kind of settles. We have kind of a lot of action in the mid-pack with Liam and other drivers just having not the cleanest turn 1. He has one with Albon and then later with Ollie. And yeah, that was a bit messy from him. But that was, I think, the only thing that happened on track in those like tens of laps in that middle part of the race. So at least we had something interesting to look at. Lando was kind of catching Oscar, but every time he would get a little bit close, Oscar just push and like open the gap again. And we had a point where they were lapping other cars where it looks like Lando really had a chance of getting closer to Oscar and maybe having that battle we all wanted, and maybe for Lando obviously a chance to win. But the back markers, which in this case were Liam and Ollie, did not care about letting them through. Oscar already went through. We had Lando and Max coming to lap them into turn 1, and they were battling on their own, which, sure, that's fair. But also in F1, we do have the blue flags and that you have to let through the leader or whoever's coming to lap you. And they didn't really make it easy for Lando and Max. For Lando, I think it hurt the most because it opened the gap to Oscar and also brought him back closer to Max. So yeah, of course that happened. And then on lap 50 something, Kimi has an engine failure and he has to DNF. And poor Kimi, he had the worst triple header with 2 DNFs and finishing last in Monaco because Mercedes just forgot to have a strategy. And this is at least the 3rd time a Mercedes power unit just gives up and dies, which makes me a bit nervous about McLaren because they are using a Mercedes power unit, but also like wondering what's going on with the reliability issues there, because normally Mercedes are very reliable. So I wonder what that's all about, because we had this one and we had George in quali in Monaco, and also Fernando retired in Monaco from like an engine failure or something like that. And Aston Martin also uses Mercedes engines for this year. From next year, it will be Honda. And I think we had more, actually, engine failures from Mercedes. But yeah, that's kind of worrying. Hopefully, McLaren will not be having that problems. But that obviously brings the safety car out, which brings Lando into play, kind of, maybe not really, because both him and Oscar box for like used softs. No one really has an advantage or a pace difference. But for the rest of the field, it is a restart full of opportunities because Max boxes for hards. And that was the start of his downfall this weekend. So yeah, Red Bull boxes him for hards because that's the only option they have. And in retrospect, but also kind of in the race, I was like, why would they do that? They should have just stayed out and inherited the lead and then like just try to defend. Because at that point, we have like 6 racing laps. Maybe you get done by like Oscar and Lando, and maybe Charles, maybe. But like that would have given him a better chance of being on the podium or, you know, winning the race or, you know, just ending it in a relatively good position. But they chose to put him on hards, which I mean, also fair. New tires is also important. At that point, he was, I think, on mediums for like 20 something laps, or maybe not 20, but for a while. So I see that approach from Red Bull, obviously, but that was not the right choice. Also, no one else like ran the hards, barely this weekend, but in the race at all. So it was basically useless. But yeah, that's a choice that they made. And on the restart, nothing changes in front, but Max kind of slips on the straight. Honestly, props to him that he saved that. I don't know how. If it was any other driver, probably maybe they would be in the wall and we'll have another safety car. But he saves it, but obviously doesn't have grip, loses a lot of time with that. And Charles, who is behind them, overtakes him on the straight. They do have a little touch, which Max is kind of furious about. And that still happens on the straight. But like in turn 1, George, who was behind Charles at that point, or like now behind Max, also tries to overtake Max. They kind of have contact and Max has to go to the runoff area and he joins the track in front of George. And then GP comes on the radio and says, give George the place back, which Max tries to protest, and GP says, those are the rules. And then he was crashing out hard at that point. With the hards on, Charles overtaking him and giving him a little bump, the contact with George, and now he has to give that place back. So he goes to give him the place back and then just rams into the side of him like you would do in bumper cars, which was crazy to watch, if I'm being honest. He did give him the place back eventually, but yeah, that was crazy. George came on the radio to say,
he just fully turned into me.
And for the first time in his life, that was true. So that was insane. Max got a 10-second penalty for that, which dropped him into P10 at the end of the race, which I think, honestly, it's a bit too light of a penalty for that kind of behavior. I mean, he purposely rammed into another driver that I think deserves a harsher penalty, especially because like that dropped him to P10, so he still gets a point. Like if that penalty dropped him outside the points, okay, sure, but he still gets away with a point after that. Yeah, that's a bit shady. So maybe not a disqualification like a lot of people think he deserves, which honestly maybe he does deserve that, because again, that's crazy behavior. But I mean, a drive-through, a 10-second stop and go, like we've seen these harsh penalties given to much less. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. And Max still got driver of the day after that. Which I have to say, what a hilarious graphic. It's like comes up driver day and a picture of Max and where he started and where he finished. And it started in P3 and finished 10th. And I think this is on par with the outstanding penalty graphic on level of hilarious. And yeah, I think that system of voting for driver of the day, it's a bit broken. I mean, obviously you can vote for whoever you want. It's basically a fan vote, but it should start after the race is finished, because obviously that was given to him before like people voted. It opens, I think, like 15 laps to the end of the race. And at that point, obviously, nothing had happened yet. So people were voting for him, which I mean, it's crazy that now he's winning a lot of Gyro Days when in 2023, I don't think he even won. So yeah, he's suddenly an underdog that everyone is rooting for. But yeah, not who I would have voted for. I mean, even if that didn't happen, even if all the restart didn't even happen, he would still have started P3 and finished P3. So if anyone, I would have voted for Oscar, or if I would just look a little bit down the order, I would vote for Nico Hülkenberg, the GOAT, who finished, well, P6 on road with Max's penalty P5 in a Sauber. So he was robbed of driver of the day, obviously. He had an amazing drive. He started P16, I think. On the race start, he gained a bunch of positions. I think got into the top 10, like in the race start. And then with strategy and just having more pace, climbed up and up and up. And after the safety car restart, he overtook Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari, which just goes to show you how bad Lewis is struggling with that Ferrari. But that was honestly incredible to see. Not to mention, of course, having Nico overtake Lewis, a bit of flashbacks to 2016, and also having Nico commentate on this race. There's a joke there that I can't think of, but it is there. So yeah, Nico P5, my GOAT. We also have Isaac to pay our praises to. He finished P7 and he scored points all across this triple header, so props to him as well. Red Bull, please don't take him. Please don't take him. Please don't. And then we have Gasly in P8, which also kind of impressive. Most of the times when Gasly gets into Q3 and qualifies in the top 10, something just happens in the race and he doesn't score points at the end. So this time he did manage to score points. Great job to him. And then we have Alonso with 2 points, his first points of the season. He finally figured that out. Honestly, didn't seem like he was going to score any points because he went off track somewhere in the beginning of the race and he wasn't running in the top 10 for a lot of it. So those hopes were kind of lost on me after a while in that race, but at the end he was just kind of there again. So great job. Obviously also his home Grand Prix. And yeah, other than that, Williams had a shit weekend. Alex DNF'd after that contact with Liam. He also got a 10-second penalty, I think, for that. Or no, not the contact itself. I think it was leaving the track and gaining advantage. So they brought him into the pits to serve that penalty and then go again to retire the car, because if they wouldn't have done that, he would have got a 3-place grid penalty for Canada. And Carlos finished P14. Obviously both didn't qualify very well. Alex qualified P11, but obviously that didn't get him anywhere with that DNF. And Carlos, I think, qualified P18 or something like that, P17. So not a great weekend for the Williams, which might be the start of them falling behind teams that are upgrading and working on their cars this year. But it's probably not that yet. It's just that Barcelona has always been a bad circuit for them. So it's probably that. Hoping it's just that, because I'm not ready to let go of how great Williams are doing this year. So hopefully they're back to their this year's selves in Canada. Also we had Yuki, who's really not doing great in that Red Bull. He qualified, I think, P20 and then started from the pit lane and finished P13 actually. So not that bad, but I mean, he's not scoring points, so that doesn't really matter for Red Bull where he finishes if he's still not scoring points. And yeah, I feel really bad for him. I'm kind of scared that he's not gonna be in the sport for next year, because Red Bull are just like that, and they will be eager to get Isaac into that Red Bull and Arvid Lindblad from F2 into F1. So he's not having the best time. I really hope he can figure something out, because he's a great driver. It's literally just that car. And also on that note, Franco is kind of running out of time with Alpine. This was his third race with them where he finished not in the points, qualified very poorly. And yeah, I don't think this performance of his is getting him anywhere with Alpine. According to his contract, he only has 2 more races to try to prove himself and have a good impression on Alpine to stay in that seat. And if not, we might see another person in that second Alpine seat for Silverstone. So I guess we'll have to wait until then to find that out. But obviously, hopefully, he also figures something out. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, also, Haas are not doing great lately. Don't know what's going on with that. hopefully they also can figure something out. I just don't want anyone to do bad, you know? And I like Ollie, and I'm also kind of coming to like Esteban. So yeah, liking almost every driver on the grid is kind of a curse. And yeah, something else that I wanted to note is that Oscar's sister and Lando's family were there, which I love when any family of any driver comes to support them. But with Oscar's sister specifically, like when they showed her in the garage or garage, however you want to say that word, I was like, oh, who is that? She looks very familiar. Where do I know her from? And it took me a little while to figure out that yeah, duh, she's familiar. It's literally Oscar in girl form. And Oscar has officially been demoted to 4th coolest Piastri because we have his mom that is an icon, his sister Hattie, who's also an icon, now this sister Eddie, also an icon, and also what a sense of style that is in that family. And then we have Oscar just in his white t-shirt. He also has another sister, but she hasn't like been publicly in the F1 space. Her name's May. They're all clones, to be clear. They look very, very similar. So yeah. I also love that Oscar has 3 sisters. I think that reflects in his personality in a good way. So yeah, that was that. A pretty eventful triple header, I would say. A very successful one for Lando, even if it doesn't seem so. It's actually his best triple header. Those are normally his Achilles heel. He tends to not do very well in triple headers, but he was actually the top scorer in this one. So I'm very happy for that. Also, Charles had a pretty good one, 2 podiums. And obviously Oscar, but Oscar's been doing great, regardless of a triple header or not. So yeah. That was it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time in Canada, enjoy these memes. Bye!
Whenever anything is not going his way, he lashes out with unnecessary anger and borderline violence.
So, what do you take away from these last 3 races?
Suffering,